Right, here we are in Stellar Horizons 2. We have just cleared the first century. Now, don't let this fool you. It can start ending in the 2500s. But it is going to be a long game. What has happened so far? Well, hostilities have begun. We've seen a little bit of combat, shown by this guy. He's wiped out a couple of enemies. He's had other issues. But mainly he's concentrating on anomalies, and he has a directive which right now means he has to go hunt this guy down, but that can switch around, and really his particular directive looks really hard to deal with, but it's a combat directive, and the Praetorians are particularly interested in those. Nobody's fulfilled a directive yet, but the Starfarers have picked up, through being violated, the Chancellor, which is worth 10 victory points, and this will produce an extra IP every turn. It cost me 15 influence to buy, but now I'm going to get, in the next 2 centuries, I end up ahead. Is that worth it? I don't know. But it is worth a pile of victory points, and now no one else can buy it, so that's kind of cool. I was far in the lead in IP. Maybe not that far. This guy's got a decent amount, despite what his problems are. He's got anger management issues, I'm telling you. We've got colonies beginning to be settled. Over here, one over here. We've got these heading out. The Starfarers, I'm sorry, have been being picked on, and by the Praetorians mainly. And they're flying into another location where they're probably going to get squished again. Others haven't yet succeeded in colonizing. Because it's a new century, the point totals, Earth production increases, but more importantly, the point totals, number of ships, number of bases you can have, and trade goods. I don't know what that trade goods is. That's not the total you're allowed to. I think that's Earth production, no, that's the production that you get. You get a draw of X number of trade goods, and then you allocate them to your bases or to Earth. We have this guy trying to make a drop-off, or trying to pick up goods at Earth and ship them somewhere else. There's a demand marker, therefore he can sell it, but it's not really... It doesn't look like commerce is a really valuable thing, at least so far in my head. Maybe once CVs start getting fast and whatnot, it'll become much more valuable. In terms of tech, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one player who's not in here. The green guy. No, the green guy's in there. The transhumanists, these guys. We got a fair amount of effort in terms of making places more habitable, and also some of the physics tech, although not really speed. Well, there's speed on this one. Speed on CVs is really important, but this thing being 15 is hard to reach. Speed on CVs is important because those are your military ships. It's hard enough to shift your focus and whatever. You don't really have a capacity to avoid combat if you stumble into a place where somebody else decided to go, and you're slower. But if you're faster, you can probably keep ahead of other people and avoid combat as much as you want, which all kind of makes sense. And a lot of people building the heavier ships now, but the next level of heavy ships, again, really expensive at 20. People are not really gathering. So there was a big spike in terms of how much research and technology you were able to get, that is leveled off. There's, you only have so many ships out there exploring and whatnot, gathering your research. Now, of course, your bases, once you start getting them, can produce research if you want. They can produce, Earth is going to produce larger amounts, slightly. It doesn't really help much. So I think we hit sort of that big jump in tech in terms of production, but we haven't, it doesn't keep up with the increased costs that techs have. And the cards are also more expensive as you go up levels. There are some people who can buy some level 2 stuff, I believe. Level 2 fleet improvements up here. Nobody's gotten the bio at level 2 yet. And nobody's bought a level 2 technology. But again, the level 1s go up in price as you start collecting them. So this guy, he's got an advantage on bio, on the genetic. So but he has to pay 6 more if he wants to buy a third one of that type. That's starting to get to the cost of the level 2s. He probably should be working for the level 2s if that's the case. I don't know what else to say. A lot of ships in movement. But whatever. Relatively late Sunday night. Let's flip over and see what our phase is for the first decade of 2200. Terraforming and add worlds. Okay, there's only one person who can terraform. That's the givers. What do they need to do? See, this is kind of interesting. If you have the tech terraforming, you can terraform one world in a system where you have a base. You don't need ships or anything for this. I don't think they have a base. Okay. And we add one of each of these world types to the bag. Thereby richening the pool of what's available. I've got my weird thoughts about this. I don't know how big a deal it is because, we're still exploring the inner ring to some extent. All right. Bunches of new arrivals, and it's time to build. We've got a new initiative system. Well, it was set last turn. Sordium is the first player up there. They have room to build ships. I think they have 3 on the board. That's what I counted. And that seems weird. That can't be right, can it? There's a 4th one. Okay. So they only have room for 1 more ship. They just got this big old transport mining ship, but here's the problem. The Praetorians just got another ship space, just got a nice big additional ship. Well, got that a little while ago. They could put a warship into space, and it's clear they don't mind collecting up escalation markers, or at least they didn't. Seems like a dangerous time to build. And so then the question is, do I want to bother building an RE alone, because I don't really know. So here's the thing. My good RE's out there. I could build another RE. Now, I have modifiers and techs that help with REs. Got their malfunction down to 22, as do a lot of people at this point. So they're kind of good, and they produce tech, but that would be my 5th ship then. I think so. Actually, they don't have a hell of a lot of cash on hand, like enough to build this thing up properly. And Earth production already happened, so we're not going to see a lot of money fall into our hands. Of course, that mining ship might have been able to do some. We're not incredibly rich on tech. We have a decent amount, but it's hard. The tech's getting expensive. I think exploring makes sense. But again, I'm just trying to give views into the kind of decision making, not with each player, but the kind of challenges you're faced with. Through a little further, the Praetorians didn't have enough cash to build a warship or a CV or whatever, so they built themselves an RE. That meant the Syndicate felt like they could build themselves something, and they have room to build up to 3 bases for the rest of this century, which means I'm not stuck with just this base. I can, move myself further on or whatever, right? And opens up all kind of interesting stuff. But that puts us on the Givers, and the Givers are in an interesting position. They have a shit ton of money because they held off. They have colonizers, but there's a warship. Or I could build a bigger warship. That bigger warship, to me, the only reason I'd want to build that is if I'm going to go after this. If I'm not going after it, I don't think it makes sense. But I'm also a little afraid of building a ship when, something that's going to carry like 3 settlers or something. But is this my best opportunity to build the ship, right? That's the danger. I'm in a nice position on the initiative level where I get to see things. So I think I'm going to hold off simply because, that's kind of risky. Is it really? I don't know. I don't know exactly what he's up to, but it's not like I can offer him anything particularly that... I can talk to him and try to ascertain, is he going to attack me? But I can't really trust him, right? If we were coming to some sort of official deal or something, maybe I could. Of course, any deal in this game is non-binding, but I just don't feel like there's anything that I have to offer to that player that makes it appealing to him to let me go. So then I just have to assess, is he going to attack or not? And I don't know. Path is in a very similar sort of position. They have an extra ship. It is a warship this time, but not a very big one. And again, they'd be putting a big investment. I get to go last. But here's the thing. If he builds his warship, I certainly don't want to build mine, but I think watching what I've watched, seeing how many chits are left, etc., I'll get an opportunity to send my ship out safely. And making that big investment when there's a warship out there just seems like a bad idea at this point. Which brings us to combat. See if there is any possible. Not here because these are just REs. People haven't arrived yet. I think we're pretty safe. And that puts me on cargo transport and movement. Movement comes right afterwards. We do have some base building to make. The consortium, their directive. It seems like an easy one. Earn 2 tech markers with research ships. I only have 1 research ship even available. I think I'm going to spend an IP to dump that thing. Pick 2, discard 1. I get 1 that I think I can do. Complete a survey at Epsilon Eridani. It's not like I want what? Production and trade ones. But this one at least I think I can complete with the ships that I am likely to have available. The fact that CV4s are so hard to get to, and that I don't have research ships. I'm just not interested in that stuff. And I shouldn't be, but, makes me spend. I'm going to leave the anomalies out for a little bit because other people may make the same kind of decision. This is going to affect my movement. I'm going to jump straight to Epsilon Eridani and start working on that. Huge difference having the RE movement from 3 down to 2. So this guy, 6 turns to make it to Epsilon Eridani. Similar distance away, only 4 turns going out here. That's a big deal. You know, it would take me 6 to get out to Vega, which is where I want to go, but I did not buy the range. Don't lose something, and this is a little screwy, okay? If I want to go from Earth to 61 Cygni, and you know, we're talking about relativistic, but close to light speed. Well, a significant portion of light speed to make these distances in this time, right? It takes me 4 turns. If I want to go here, it takes me 6 turns. Perhaps. But here's what should not be. If I go here and then here, it shouldn't take 6 turns, and it does. So there should be a slight advantage for going further distances because you don't have to slow back down to 0, you know? And then, like, it feels like the accelerations are too high. With the type of ships we're talking about here, they're probably spending half the trip accelerating and half the trip decelerating. But again, that's just stuff that, like, yeah, how do you handle all that in a way that's playable and everything? Yeah, this works. But then when you start to think about it, you're like, yeah, but it doesn't really. That's kind of cheap, or that I kind of cheat at, is if I want to move, when I'm doing the movement is when I notice these damn damage markers. And I'm like, yeah, I want to pay that off too. And since I have the cash on hand, I'm letting me do that. But technically that should have happened in the build and repair ships. But it's hard to remember to look everywhere at all the ships when, you know, what you're doing is trying to figure out what you can just build. Yeah, I had to look at all the ships anyway, so it should be able to register, but he would want to repair that ship. We've plotted all our movement. We're going into exploration. But out of all the directives I've seen, that one, the 2 exploration ship one, that's the one that's the hardest, I think, to fulfill. I mean, the fact that it's absolutely impossible for the consortium to even fulfill it. But that's at this point in the game. That's the hardest to fulfill without it being in some way that you could record additional victories. Like I said, the trade goods, I can dump them. At least the ones that go to Earth, I can dump at Earth and hold off on them. A lot of them have a mnemonic device that allows you to, you know, store them up. That's the one that doesn't. And it feels like a real bummer because of that. If it was one, it would be okay. If it had a capability to be remembered over time, it would actually also be okay, because then I could send this ship off somewhere where I don't have bases, and you know, just dig around there. But you can't do it if you have a base. I built a base here. You can't do it. You have to do it all at once, which means you need a reasonable amount of research ships to succeed with 2 of them. We had a few things happen. Here, the ship got destroyed. Oh well. Here they succeeded in finding something. Took the IP, got this. Stunning vistas. This improves settlement chances, actually. But this is one I can resolve next turn. But it's going to depend on initiative, I guess. Luckily, I go before, and initiative's already happened, so I know I'll go before. That's another thing that's kind of weird. So, like, with this deck, you know certain things will happen. Like, on the last jet, you know exactly what will happen. I know what will not happen on this one. Whereas there's turns where you have no idea at all, which feels, again, kind of weird. Makes each turn seem a little asymmetrical or something. Like that. I mean, they don't really irk me. They just kind of feel a little weird. It's not like the winter turns, the winter redeployment in like the Here I Stand based games, or worse in God Kings, where it really, really bugged me for some reason. I don't know why it was so much worse than that, but it really got to me there. But yeah, where it's like, yeah, it's winter, what? Winter comes once every 5 years on cue? That doesn't really make sense. During my exploration, I realized I fucked something up. I didn't send this guy anywhere. I'm gonna try to figure out where he'd go. Because it doesn't make a lot of difference. It's just sort of the, oops. I think I was thinking so hard about moving this ship that I forgot about this other one. I'm confused because I moved this one. Did he have two out there floating around? I bet you that one came from here. No, it would have been destroyed if it had, probably. I think he only had one, and let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships. And he built an additional one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'll leave it as it is. But I don't know where this guy came from. Oh, I think he came from here. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Because I had 3 ships here. Did Red go after me? Red went after me. I think I screwed up and I moved this ship instead of this one because I would have left this guy around to search. And I think that's all that happened is I grabbed the wrong ship. We found an anomaly with the Starfarers, which reminded me, hey, they should have gotten an IP at the beginning of the turn. This is one we can solve. Maybe not right away, but with some of the ships that are coming. Stellar Chart. Draw 1 world tiled for this in each adjacent system with an empty slot as if surveyed. In addition to getting the 3 IPs. So that's kind of cool. We'll find stuff here as if surveyed. I don't think that will qualify for completing a survey at Vega, but, you know, I could see, again, I could see deciding, yeah, that should, you know. But it's as if, I don't know, it would have to be stated just a little bit more strongly, but of course, there's not a lot of room on an anomaly chit to tell you what it means. So it's like, yeah, that's going to be open to interpretation. There's a lot in this game that is. I don't remember this kind of stuff happening as much in the original. I don't remember running into these things where I was just like, and here sometimes it's just in the rules themselves. It's as though the wording is much weaker. That's going to put me to the expensive purchasing phase. I think we take a little break to start to get some more tea hot. But yeah, I ran into a thought here as well as I'm doing the tech purchases. Look, these guys bought the RE movement modifier to the Praetorians from ×3 down to ×2. If that ship stops, refits, and then continues on, it would have been able to go faster. So if I had known I was going to buy that, I could have moved from Earth to here for 3, and then to here for 2. There is some risk in that when I come into a system, I could get blown up. But I got a warship there, right? That's going to be there at the same time. So I'm ending up spending more. Now, you can argue, yeah, I'm refitting or whatever. Yeah, well, who's refitting me anyway? This technology is getting uploaded, but only when I stop. I don't know. there are a lot of things that go on in this game because of the scale and scope of the game, etc., that make it just, less believable in so many different ways from the original. The original was good hard science for the most part. This is aiming, trying to keep the same gameplay, or a lot of the same gameplay, over the course of something that, it doesn't really fit the same. But gave me another chance to play it. Or to play the system, basically. Caught myself cheating again. Don't know why. But, well, I know why. This guy wanted to go out to Epsilon Eridani because he has an exploration for that. But his CV range isn't high enough. There's a reason why there are no CVs out there. I could actually push into somewhere else. So we gotta fix this. These guys went there. There's no demand for what we're looking for. Let's go here. That'll give me an opportunity to keep spreading out. And I can base it on what's seen. Yeah, in general, I think going shorter distances makes more sense. Anyway, let me figure out what their tech is. I was trying to figure out what their ship's doing here. Whether I could live here and stuff like that. And yeah, I could. Obviously, it's an 80%. And I'm like, why isn't everybody here? Yeah, I guess nobody can go there yet. Pissed at him for doing that. He ends up dumping his hand. Doesn't have a whole lot of tech. And I kind of don't want to spend on sort of the cheap things. Like, I could spend 7 to get here, but I have no real need for that. Let's let somebody else go up there and make it 5 for me. Obviously, I could spend to get here, which wouldn't be that bad. Other places, I could have gotten this. Yeah. That would get me towards that colonization attempt, but I'm not really gung-ho on it particularly, is the whole thing. So I'm not seeing anything I terribly wanted to do. This is only 5. Could have done that. I've got this increased hand size. It's not doing me any damn good right now. It may later on, but yeah, I was willing to flush my cards and get level 1s that I can build instead. And nobody forged any new technologies. Get this out to the RE malfunction there. That's 6 players there. Everybody's got big ships now. All of these into the RE movement modifier. And that's it. I'll put an everybody chit there. It's us up to 2210. I'm going to pause, but I'm going to put an IP marker on top of these economic phases to remind me that somebody's getting something for it. Make sure nobody's done research. Nobody's done anything that big. Not yet. He's still the best. Not quite. Ooh. I could have bought this instead of the Chancellor. Would have been cheaper. +2 to combat rolls, can't raid me. Only attack players that have more escalation. That feels like a lot of iffy stuff, but the +2 to combat rolls would be kind of cool. I'm keeping this. I like the IP collection, and it's what I've done. But if anybody's attacked by him, they have that opportunity. Earn 1 influence for each trade good you sell on Earth. You got to sell 3 of them at once. Yeah. Okay. Just checking those out. And we're going to take a decent sized break. I tried sleeping earlier. Ended up just kind of snoozing with a show on. And by the time the show ended, about the time the show ended, I woke up. So that didn't work. I've got these hopes of like being awake during daytime. I got to go shopping, or I should go shopping this week. And obviously, if it's going to be decent weather and whatnot, I can play with wood. It's 4:30 on Monday, and I convinced myself I would just play my computer game and go to sleep. 4 a.m. I got on Raid after something. Found out that, I pretty much waited for no good reason. Dilly-dallied around, but now there's server maintenance, and so I'm back up here to play some of this. All right, we got a couple of things. First of all, I have that IP that I set aside. Hey, it's up to 3 again. I don't know. And we flip a new one. It is bass production. I think this is the first time we've had real bass production. We've played like 50 years or whatever, right? And we have not gotten it before. No, more than that. It starts in 2100. So we've had over 100 years and we haven't gotten it. Okay. First, players can blockade in reverse initiative order. You have to have ships in the system with combat value that's higher than the target player's ships, plus however many settlements they have. And if we do that, we give them IP and we get escalation for each base. And then players get a choice of either tech or cash from the base. Okay. First of all, let's look for possible places where there might be, where there's a base. Here's one. He's fine. That's not going to be blockaded. So let's just take care of that one. Get it out of the way. We may run into conflicts where, see, like if this ship was here, it could blockade these 2 guys. That would probably be worth it, preventing it from getting production. But there aren't a lot of bases in the game. So what do we get? Well, I got my choice of planets. I can either get $7 with no additional cash. Okay? Or I can get either 3 engineering or 4 physics. This is hard to decide, right? Because money counts as chips. So there's no reason for me to take tech. None whatsoever. Like I think, tech, tech has to be worth more. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I see absolutely no reason you would choose now, tech is more. Okay, so it's $7 or 3 or 4 tech chits, which is probably more than the money. Do I terribly need the money? I have a big ship that I could build that I don't have the money for right now and kind of wouldn't have at the end. Am I terribly interested in either? Like I have a lot of engineering tech here. This is where I'm going to start getting good tech, I think. I don't have a shit ton of physics tech, and we got some interesting options there. So I think I'll go for the 4 chits of physics tech. Yeah. So you can see, yeah, that's going to be more than 7. Wowzer. Okay. And I get no bonuses. Let me just make sure I don't have anything. Okay, so that takes care of this base. Let's keep going. And things might be more complicated later on when more people are, cohabiting planets and whatnot. But most of them are not. In fact, we get to this base here. And ideally, I would have done the consortium first. Yeah, does he have a base? He does. So technically this is the order we would do it in. I don't really want to do that because I don't see it as that big a deal, although maybe the choices of what you take are of some importance. Conceivably. So yeah, let's go here first. So I've got either $4 billion with no bonuses, or 2 physics tech. I'll take the physics tech. It seems like a better deal. Okay. That's done the transhumanist. I guess we'll just go in order. Blue does not have any bases, but pink has this one, which could be 3 tech markers. Do I have any bonuses here? I do not. So I could either take 3 physics. Biology marker project. Oh, that's important. I think I get that no matter what. So I get a biology in addition to everything else. Okay, his was a biology marker and a flora. It's not, it says production. I think I actually hunt down a flora chit and find it at this point. I think it's during base production that this should happen. It's not clear, right? But it says production as opposed to draw trade goods. A biology marker, that's the same here, so I think that's one of these tech chits that he gets in addition to what he got otherwise. That makes these places with solved anomalies really interesting. And I think everybody with a base gets it. Again, it's not really spelled out. Now I got to dump all the counters out and look for a flora. Counters, those are the demand markers. The actual supply will be over here. I'll just pick the first one I see. I'm not sure if they're different in different places, but now I have a flora on this base, which I can pick up and can't do anything with because nobody wants flora. That's life. Should they? That's an interesting question. When do demand markers show up? Have I failed to do something important? Trade goods and demand. Each system that is completely surveyed or has a base receives a demand marker. Ooh. So we got this one when it was fully surveyed, and this one. But I've been forgetting to drop demand markers when there's a base. The person who builds the first base draws 2 and puts 1 in. Oops. Yeah. Okay. Let's take, this is a oopsie. All right, so he would have gotten 2. Does he have, he draws 3 instead of 2 to choose from. And he gets food, wine, and machinery, food, beverages, and machinery. I have food that I could deliver, so I will put that here. This might have influenced things. I think I just got the base relatively recently. This one more difficult, but it was cleared out before a base was built. This one just got a base. So he draws 2. Flora and entertainment. Neither one is particularly exciting to me. What can I produce here? That's a good question. I don't know. I got polar and I got K. K doesn't sound like it produces entertainment to me. Fuck. K is barren. Neither sounds particularly appealing to me. I know entertainment can be produced here. I will put the entertainment there because I don't have either of the things there. Let's look to see, do I have another base yet? I gotta remember to do this. I do not have another base yet. Okay. So what have we done? We jumped that. Now we get to this one, and he gets his choice of money, but there's like 3 physics chits, which again, that even though I'm short on money, I'm not going to get that much cash. Do I have any benefits? I do not. Are there directives that might affect these choices? Yeah, maybe. I don't think so, but... Okay, so what were we at here? We were at pull 3 physics chits. That sounds pretty good. Wow, base production is huge when it comes up. But it's once every 7, you know? We look at these, yeah, it's better than the Earth side. And then we have one more base, I think. Green has not landed its base yet. So our remaining base is here. And again, I'm almost certain I want... I can produce entertainment in any system. I'm almost certain I want the 3 physics chits. That's just a better deal. I see a bad one on the top. Not as good a draw. Okay. Is that all my base production? Was there something else? I kind of feel like I read something else, and I read the blockading. Yeah. Okay. No anomaly here. The only anomalies are on the 2 that I handled already, and I think gave biology markers to each. I don't know. You know, I didn't do his at all, did I? Because he could take 3 physics or 3 engineering. He did not get, I don't think he got his biology marker. I think I went back and did this one and then got confused. Okay, so I kind of skipped him. 3 physics or 3 engineering. Again, I have no money, which means $4 is pretty damn useless to me. But tech bonus, wow, that's huge too. I don't know if I want engineering or if I want physics. That's kind of hard to tell. Engineering gets me to the bigger ships. Physics gets me to the better range, the faster ships. A lot of people are getting physics. I don't have much physics. I think that's what we take. So 3 physics markers, and I don't have any bonuses for that. Okay, and now we see a big jump. Getting that first base production when some people didn't get it, you know, notably, the Givers didn't quite make it. The Starfarers didn't get it. They're significantly behind. You know, that's a lot of research that just went down the drain or disappeared, you know, that I didn't get. That other people are getting, even if they just built a base the last turn. So that's a major, major factor. Rush out and get your bases. Apparently they're pretty decent. I wasn't expecting them to be this good, but yeah, the tech side of it is huge. The money is not that big, right? Like, this produces a lot of money. Well, yeah, these M's don't even produce much. This produces a lot of money because it's an A, which is not arid. It is volcanic. So lots of mining capabilities, interesting stuff being blown up. And also decent tech, but, and the tech is still probably better than the money. That's why I chose it. Okay. Time to move the ships. 3 things arrived, but there's interesting shit happening here. And you know, this is a game that doesn't specifically allow you to do, you know, to transfer money or anything like that. There may be something you can do that's similar. But nobody really wants to pick on the poor Starfarers. They're doing so badly right now. But it's like, if the Praetorians aren't getting anything out of it to make up their choice, they're probably going to just still keep blasting away at them. Now, I've learned my lesson. I repair a ship with what limited money I have instead of, you know, building maybe an RE or something. Big question of what's sort of hidden information, what's not hidden. It doesn't say anything anywhere, but pretty obviously cards are kept face down in your hand, you would think. The money has nothing on the back side. This would be a nice thing to specify, what's open information and what's not. In particular, I'm looking here at the Syndicate, and they're considering building a ship. Now, what is open information is what's over here. The fact that everyone can build CV3 crew vehicles, right? And what his counter mix is. So I should be able to see that. There's no question about that. I'm not sure. These maybe, maybe not. Hard to tell. But I can probably see how many they have. But I don't think I know how much cash he has on hand. And that's particularly important because I'm thinking about building a ship, but he's got one hell of a big military ship sitting there. And as the Syndicate, I'm not as military as the religious guys are. Okay? Likewise, though, this guy also has a military ship, which was something that a couple of people were considering. Was, you know, who's likely to go, who's not. Do I want to send something out? Well, if it's not my RE, and I have room for one more ship, if it's not my RE, and I don't have a shit ton of money, I have $8, which would be enough to buy this, but no settlements for it. This plus settlements I wouldn't have enough cash for. I think I'm going to hold off because I only have room for one more ship on the board. And it's an okay RE, it's a 2. It's better than this one. But it's like, yeah, I want to delay my choice. So we're going to hold off there. Most of the other players have their ship limits reached, and I don't want to just destroy a ship for no benefit and, you know, just to be able to build something, especially when money and resources are kind of tight. It's something of a hard choice. I put one of my good military, my good military ship out there instead of this with settlements. I actually have enough money I could build both. What would this cost me? 6. This will cost me 14. I think I'm going to build both and defend my ship with another one. This one's better. I don't know, it would cost me more. And I don't have enough, I don't think I can buy 2 ships. Shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I can't. So that was $14. Yeah, so the question is, do I want to increase my settlements or do I want a military ship or neither? Well, I can't afford to increase my settlements because there's a big ship here that I'm afraid of. Do I want this ship? I look around and there's like nasties everywhere, and I can try to look and see who's got ship limit, who doesn't. I know he's got nasties coming soon. I feel like I should just build another warship or a warship and use it for exploration and whatnot, because my REs are all out and everything like that. And there's not really a good argument for I can't afford to lose my settlements is what it comes down to. Like, I can't afford to put that extra money in just on the hopes of getting some IP and maybe escalation counters will keep the enemy away. The true path, there's a similar problem, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 ships, I think I'm allowed 6. Yeah. I'm allowed a bunch of bases. I am not sending any base ships out. So I also have the chance to build one of these ships or to destroy something. And I could afford this big warship, but I'm not sure I see a huge advantage to that. Whereas next turn, if I hold on to this ship, maybe he won't build a warship again and I'll be able to slip one in under the wire. The danger there would be Earth production. Nobody has that. Something else that gives boatloads of money. Can IP be used as money? I don't remember. I know it can be used as tech. Is it here that it tells you? It is not? I don't see anything that says it can be used as money. It would be blue. And then for tech purchase, oh, that's earn. Oh, fuck. Here it says IP not in blue. I don't see a way to use influence as money. So that's one place where money is like kind of hard to come by, right? Like if you're out of money, you don't have something else that gives you money. But on the other hand, tech seems more valuable right now. So yeah, I think I'm going to pass with him as well. And that will put me to combat. Lots of places there could be combat. This is done in initiative order. Yellow is first. They don't have any such. The givers are next. They're sharing a couple of places. I'm not going to attack there. It's too iffy. And I want to defend my planet and la la la. Reds. I don't think that they're anywhere. Like, I think they're all in deep space. Pink. Got a lot here. Nothing to hit. Blue. Blue has this. I'm not going to just fight for the sake of fighting. That doesn't appeal. Unlike the Praetorians. I mean, I don't have a directive that says I should or anything like that. It just doesn't seem worth it. Whereas they actually want combat directives as, I think, maybe their only goal. No, they can do anomalies too. Okay. I mean, I doubt most people are interested in fighting. Unless they're in some sort of circumstances that's particularly appealing. Now, what's fucked up, we'll get to this in a moment. Let me just check the consortium. Here. I don't think that they have any combat ships anywhere else. Okay. So yeah, everybody's chosen. Here's something that's fucked up, and I don't know if this is going to follow the can you remember it rule. But under the escalation and influence, this is difficult. If you don't have enough IP, basically if there's no escalation left, there's a possibility where you'd have to try to remember that you can't make an attack until after the next initiative roll, which is really weird. But after combat, attackers draw escalation markers and defenders draw an equal number of IPs. Exception, attackers can choose not to draw if the defender's side included any ship that attacked them either this turn or last turn. The defender then would also not draw IPs. Yeah, I got no way to remember who attacked you last turn. This turn, I can buy that I'd remember. I don't think I can remember, yeah, he attacked me last turn, especially with me wandering up and down. But, you know, you need some kind of marker for that if you're going to have that or something. And then it's like, it's all over the fucking place, too. It's like they attacked me somewhere over here. Again, speed of light. How'd we find out? I don't know. So where am I? After combat, cargo transfer and trade. He's not on board yet. I'm looking for colonists on top. Or maybe a damage marker, because I think I got like a damage marker on top of a colonist somewhere. I don't think there's anybody available to colonize. We could look at other things, though. Trade markers. So, for example, I could pick up this Flora trade marker. There is nowhere that will take it. So, I don't particularly want to pick it up. Although maybe, you know, bring it to Earth and keep it in my pool there. I have no idea. Nobody else had one. That was just a biology marker. Yeah, so I don't think anybody's picking anything up or dropping anything off, which means now we get to determine where units move. And you can see why these videos take so long. It's because I'm working my way through all the steps each turn. I don't know how to explain this game otherwise, though, right? Like, we could take a look, you know, every turn and say, oh, well, there's bases here and stuff here. But it's going to be really hard for me to remember what things are new and what's changed. Again, in the original game, I felt like I could back up and take a longer view of what was going on, because everything was more sort of linear. You know, here, things are flying all over the place, you know. The narrative is just going to disappear from my head. so easily. It's just harder to get a grip on the geometry of what's going on, essentially. Now, I'm able to do that in a war game, even a bubble map game. I'm able to do that. It's not just, oh, it's got to be a linear track like Stellar Horizons was. So I don't know why this two-dimensional is so much harder, except that I don't know. I mean, stuff's out there in places with these markers moving and everything. It's just, it's not, I can't step in and say something big happened. Although I definitely could focus a little less, and I should. These are getting too long. This is going to rival like EU Pop and other huge video collections. Okay. Done. It's hard to reinforce places, and then, it's hard to decide this ship here. Hey, if I lose an RE, I kind of want him on Earth, right, to protect my next build. But if I don't know what I want to do with it. To give less, but I want to highlight a couple of things that happened while I'm midway through the exploration phase. Here, this beautiful vista or whatever was collected by this ship because he had initiative. Again, it doesn't say that initiative, but that's a reasonable way of settling the ties. Up here, a ship was destroyed, an RE was destroyed, but it did find these violent separatists, which prevents that from being an Earth base, a Starfarer's base. This is just tech finds, and that will put me to the difficult buying tech, which again, we do in reverse initiative. We do more in reverse initiative than we do in initiative. I think that was true with the other version too. Being kind of conservative in terms of spending tech, they got a lot of tech this turn. Maybe they'll get more, but it doesn't feel like there's a general flow that's huge right now. So, yeah, we moved up to being able to buy level 3 fleet improvements just because it's cheap. But most of the action was here on the physics on the range marker. This is going to be in everybody is in here. But 4 people are getting an IP for advancing to the RE range unlimited. And then, I mean, this affects the movement for the REs to begin with, but eventually this is the way to get CV range, which is a big deal. Because right now we can only go to adjacent places to some place we have a base. The person who needs it the most is the Starfarers, who are stuck, unable to build the bases that they want to build. But I was not big on physics with them, and I had a lot of engineering. Didn't really want to spend the engineering, but the card that I'm holding that I would like to spend it on is a little too expensive, and this allowed me to hold the card another turn. They're kind of low on tech right now, mainly because their ships are being destroyed. Again, I'll remember to put an IP marker up here so that I just remember that he gets it, I don't check these every damn turn, right? Admiral might be available to me, but I don't have the IP for it. And I don't think anybody else met their prerequisites. He still hasn't gotten his 6th escalation marker, and I don't know, he's kind of closest to his directive, but he's got to hit this guy before somebody else ends up with more fleets. That's a tricky one to manage too. Okay, I'm hoping that's it for tonight, because we're getting, I don't know, it's not daylight yet, but it's coming soon. Here we are, it's early evening on Monday. I slept until about an hour ago. Had to play Raid after that, get in at least the initial part. Today's a weird day. There's a clan thing starting, and I generally like to hold off on spending my resources for that. But I really should have gone shopping today, but I was awake until, I don't know, until like 7 a.m. Then I went to sleep. Then I got up at 10, stayed up for about a half hour, went back to sleep, and wake up at like 6:30 or 6:30 p.m. So, I'm getting tons and tons of sleep as, I don't know, and other things are going wrong as well. Like, I got a buddy who wants to come visit for a weekend or something in about a month. I'm like, as long as he can deal with my mess. But, okay. So here we are in 2220. We have one of these as my reminder. We flip the economic, and it's draw trade goods. Now, we did this early on with the, with the initial situation where everybody's at Earth, but it's different now. And I'm going to need to swap bags for this, as well as find the rules for it. You draw the number indicated on faction sheet by century. This could be modified. I don't think any tech modifies it, but some of the cards do. And then you get to assign it to bases or Earth. You're allowed a total of 10 on Earth. We're not gonna see a big problem with this. Nobody's got enough that they're in trouble. But I don't know if they're worth shit anyway, right? Like, I'm regretting not having cashed all these in for $1 billion early on. $1 billion early on might have made it's not going to make a huge difference, but it might have made a difference. Whereas now they're just sitting there doing nothing for a century. Then you assign them where you want them. Nobody else can pick them up, which is kind of funky. Like, again, there should be like the ability to say, hey, you can have the trade goods for $1 billion, but the margins are so shitty anyway. But if you were at your own base picking up goods, you might be willing to take $1 billion off the cost of something to deliver multiple goods. Most of the ships at this point in the game don't have a lot of trading capacity, so it wouldn't really help that much. But I don't know. I mean, the idea of like trying to run ships back and forth, which is the consortium's whole like goal, right? Supposedly, they're a trading group. Their whole existence is supposed to be built around trade. The idea of picking up goods and delivering them somewhere and getting like a couple $1 billion just is so crappy that I don't think it feels like this wasn't, considered in terms of what the impacts would be as well. But we'll see. Maybe as we play and bigger ships come out and trade goods accumulate in places, maybe there'll be some value to it. But it just doesn't seem like it. Now, I don't know what kind of order matters in this. I would guess you'd want to do it in reverse initiative order if you do it in anything. There's no real specifics here. Perform only one based on economic. I'm guessing that this is essentially simultaneous, but again, if you're watching what other people do, you might end up introducing a delay of game. By the way, for something that has, if this does not have a major impact on the game, it takes up 2 more of these big pools, right? This is a game that has too many bags and cups already. I mean, it's stretching my limits. And if it was a tiny pool or something, it wouldn't be too terrible. But, the the demand markers, they're removed very seldomly or are drawn very seldomly. But these are only drawn in general once every 7 turns as well. So it's like, I've got to go through this bag swap thing. Conceivably, I could have cups like I do for these guys, but these guys get used a lot. So let's look at the first of my people, which is the consortium. They get 4 trade goods, as far as I can tell. Do they have anything additional? I don't see anything. They might have cards that allow them something additional. Well, that's not a trade good. That got mixed in or was left in the bag. And let's see what we got. We got medicine, which can be produced in ml, food, which can be produced in ml, rare materials, AD, and fine or art, which is made out of orange juice. Okay, so Earth counts as M class, which stands for Earth. Don't know why. So I can put those there. Where's his other base? His only other base is over here, and I have K, A, and H. I have an A here, so I can put that here. This ML is it came from this. These others have to show up on Earth. But that gives me a medicine. There's a place that's demanding medicine. Of course, I have to race if somebody else is trying to get medicine there, which they are. The transhumanists are. And then that demand may go away. So there's no real, it's not like this produces a lot either, right? It's worth $4, but PAK, there's a P, that's +1. ML is -1. I think they combine, so it ends up at a 0. I can get $4 billion for transferring this. That's like, at best, one of these counters, it's not something that's worth delivering. It's not worth shipping stuff to established worlds where the research is done and the surveying is done. Now maybe if I have research as well and I'm the consortium or whatever, and I just built a ship and everything, but it feels like such a tangential little piece to the game. It just doesn't feel, at least at this point. Again, late in the game, maybe everything is discovered. And, we're discovering a fair amount, and the game is quite long. So maybe late in the game, trade starts becoming important or valuable or something. I don't know. I don't know if it starts to become more of a traditional war game at that point as well, which it may. Like now, people are kind of like, oh, I'm scared of, starting a war or whatever. But, if there's not much left to do, it's time to go conquer. And this one goes back in the cup. And then we go to the next player and do the same for them. Reason to play out whole campaigns, because maybe these will be worth something at some point. But right now, at this point in the game, they're not. But maybe they're the thing that makes, or maybe they're a piece of the game that makes it more exciting later on. But there's kind of a, with rules as sparse as this, I wouldn't expect it. But there's also kind of this desire that somewhere it tells you stuff like, don't bother, there should be player's notes or something that say something like, don't bother with trade until everything's pretty much explored, or something like that, right? And largely stay away from combat until, just some sort of general hints like that. You shouldn't have to play the game once or twice or whatever to be able to play it even marginally effectively. Look at another person's assignments just because. I drew a fine arts, which has to go on my base because, it's a J planet. He's able to do that because people are painting the gas giants. I'm guessing that's the rationale. These other two, the only thing that counts are M's for me, but I have them here and here. So now I have kind of this decision of, Do I put it on Earth where it's safe? It can't be attacked on Earth? Or do I put it out at a base where it's dangerous, but maybe there would be some advantage? These can't be sent to Earth. Earth doesn't want this shit. They produce it after all. But it could be put, and I mean, it's possible that something produces a good that it wants, in which case you can just sell it right there. That's great, you know? Because of the way the planets, well, first of all, the demands aren't at all related to the type of planet, unlike the trade goods. The other thing, though, is, so I might get a demand and might just haul like 3 things from Earth. I'm sending a ship which hauls 3 things. But, you know, if I'm going here, I'd rather reinforce it. Is there a limit? Oh, yeah, there's a limit to how much I can put on any single place. The number of goods that can be assigned to a base per turn is limited by the settlements. The storage capacity is double this, so I could hold 4 here. Okay, and I produced 2 there. My feeling is I want to bring more colonists out there. Then I might pick this stuff up and deliver it somewhere. When I deliver the medicine, I might get one of these, which would be fantastic. And you can see the clutter is growing. A little further down, Starfarers could only place on Earth because they have no colonies. The Praetorians could only place on Earth because the counterpick didn't match where their base is. Okay, great. But now I'm on our syndicate, which has an interesting choice again. I can put M's over here. This is garbage. It gets thrown away. But these other 2, and I gotta check the cards, and I'm always like, you know, there's so many things to check to see what you get anywhere. So these could both go on Earth, but they could also both go over here, and they would fit. I can only produce 1 of them there. None of them are desired on Earth. Here's the thing. I have a ship here with a colonist arriving. I could pick something up. I think I'm going to drop... Which one's shittier? I think I'm going to drop the food off here, just in the case that I get food somewhere. And this one I have to put here because I can only produce 1 with my single settlement there in the base. Ended up with kind of a boring, had to produce only on Earth. True Path, though, has a card that allows them to draw an extra trade good, and they produce entertainment in any system, and they get an extra cost bonus for entertainment. Now, I didn't get... Yeah, I did get an entertainment. What's the price? It's an okay price. Wants to deliver to KDs. Okay. And we have a base here, which is cool. That's kind of the nice place to be. But as it stands, I can't build the rare materials, which would be desirable at Earth. I can only build these. Oh, I have 2 entertainments. Of course, nobody wants entertainment right now. And I would get KDMO. KD is what I'd like to go to, but I don't have any of those. I think I want to just produce these at Earth. I don't have any particular shipping going into there. This guy could like divert here and then to Earth, but I don't see that as particularly advantageous. There's no chance that the planets are going to change here or anything, so we'll just put all of ours on Earth. But those double entertainments are kind of useful. And again, I can cash them in for 1 billion. That would be... I'd be a lot more likely to have done that early on, when it's especially valuable. If I had been told, in player's notes, don't bother with trading until, this galaxy is mostly settled. Arrivals in there, this puts us to the build and repair ships. I think I need to break at this point because there's only so much that Raid is doing on its own, and I probably have to go pay some attention to it for a little while. And look, it's night. I missed the whole day. Great. A life of doing nothing effectively. But yeah, and I'll be back to hit the build and repair ships, because that's kind of a complicated time, although I don't think much is going to happen during it, because we've got this kind of tension of I can't afford to build CVs here unless they're military, or I'm safe because in some other way, because there's a big nasty military ship by the person who has first initiative. The thing I kind of liked that High Frontier did was war sort of got escalated up to. I think the Chinese were able to do dicky shit all the time because they're an especially tricky people, according to Gary Trudeau. But I don't remember if that's a quote from if an actual politician, if Nixon or somebody said that, but it's attributed to Duke, who is supposed to be Hunter S. Thompson, but becomes an ambassador. So I don't think so. I think it's just a Gary Trudeauism, as opposed to a Pierre Trudeauism, which is what one would normally mean when they say Trudeauism, right? Maybe not now. Anyway, war sort of got ramped up to. So you had to be in a certain political state for people to start raiding and stuff like that. You could do some dicky stuff that the Chinese could do all the time. That's their special ability, to be dicks. But it almost feels like going from we can do nothing to we can do anything. Any kind of, there's no sort of escalatory period or anything like that. And I kind of feel like a faction, I don't know, but I feel like a faction would start committing some under the threshold of actual war. It does kind of bring something funny to mind. So the kinds of shit that goes on all the time now in terms of cyber warfare and stuff like that, that goes under the radar, and maybe it's because of the nuclear threat, no longer is a cause for war in the way that it would have been in the 19th century. I mean, think about the Spanish-American War or something. If Somalia, if rebels in Somalia or whatever are lobbing missiles at us, 19th century, we'd be in there and we'd control it. Nowadays, we're going to deploy, an aircraft carrier there or whatever. Now, you got to say, in World War II, the Japanese did strike some of our ships in China. And that didn't cause a war. So, there's always been sort of this, do you really want to go to war over this kind of thing or whatever? But there's a casus belli, or casus bellum, in place for something like that. And I kind of feel like something like that should be the escalation, and that there should be some kind of enhanced cost, maybe an escalation or whatever, for jumping the war forward. I also think, though, that if there are these powerful factions and everything, war might come to Earth in an ugly sort of way, which might end the game, which might end Earth as a source for these. That would be a really intriguing game. is trying to escape Earth enough and settle and colonize enough that if it happens that Earth just gets demolished, that you'd still be able to proceed and operate. Again, like with, actually dealing with the command and control over light years of distance, where communications, even the barest communications, will take, many years to get there. You're kind of left with this, yeah, that's a very different game, but that's the kind of thing that I would have expected here, to be honest. Just because the first Stellar Horizons was so good, and this one just feels like a repeat of that first Stellar Horizons, done on a different scale, even when that scale doesn't, even when the choices that were made don't make a lot of sense. So, I don't know. But trade growing over the course of the game, that might actually be a thing. For much as I gripe about, hey, trade looks worthless right now, trade growing over the course of the game might actually be something that will appeal to me in that sort of way. I just wish there were more things that expressed sort of, like, I love the idea of that slow escalation, getting to the point where if somebody pushes it far enough, there would be like a general escalation track, not just chits. If somebody pushes it far enough, you have like nuclear war on Earth, and Earth just becomes, Earth and all of the solar system's locations become sort of uninhabitable. And you would have an uninhabitability index for other places as well, perhaps, if a war goes to that level. Because honestly, if you start using nukes on planets in large quantity, those planets are going to be terraformed into something horrible. But of course, you would need, like, planetary values for the Earth system as well. And I think they should be stronger than they are, because I don't feel like it's just Earth that's producing. You have an asteroid belt, you have gas giants, you have all kinds of interesting stuff in the Earth system. So there should be more letters than just M for production on Earth. Yeah. It's giving me ideas, man. Very useful. Although there's not any room on here, really, is a little chart that told you how many ships you actually have. Because at each CV level, you have a different number of ships available, right? And that way I could just look at the pool of ships that I don't have on the board and know how many I have on the board and not have to hunt them down each damn turn. Again, there's not really space. I understand constraints, but I'm not sure that there's a reason that this couldn't be a little bit bigger. One way or another. Son of a bitch, I caught myself cheating again. Damn CV range, I went out to Tossetti. Why? Oh no, I'm okay. I'm okay because I'm next to Tossetti. Oh God. It's so fucking hard to keep track of everything. And it's just getting worse. I mean, eventually it'll get easier because CV ranges and stuff will be unlimited. But I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do? Yeah, but I'm okay. Something kind of nice for the transhumanists. Couple of things. One is, I'm ready to pick up the medicine and bring it here, sell that, fine. I have a directive to sell 2 goods at Earth. I actually have fine art here, so I can pick that up and drag it over. I couldn't build it on Earth, but, and that's good. I won't want to sell it immediately, though. I'll want to deliver it. Going into too much detail again, I decided to build a warship for them. These guys, didn't have enough money to even buy their RE. The transhumanists, though, are building a warship that'll help protect this ship when it comes in, maybe, unless I send the warship out immediately, which I probably will do, but who knows. Maybe it makes more sense not to build it, thereby keeping money and flexibility. To keep an eye out for ships with damage markers, and this can be kind of complicated because you can't really tell what's under your little movement marker. I know I had one here because I have too many counters there. Unfortunately, the Starfarers don't have the money to repair a ship. You can repair it in deep space, and that's kind of cool. But it requires a lot of lookup and such not. Basically, nobody building any ships. The True Path finally builds not its warship that it's been holding as a threat that allowed it to place this, but rather its big colony ship with 3 colonies there. That took up all my money, unfortunately, which means this damaged ship is unable to be repaired. And it's only a CV2, which means if I do exploration with it, it's not terribly, there's a better chance that it's just destroyed. But if I do research with it, I can do a 3-4-5 as opposed to a 3-4 as opposed to a 2-3-4 for surveying. So that becomes not a bad choice. It's kind of like, oh, I want to research why so I don't get destroyed. There are some better advantages to doing surveying, even if the numbers are, first of all, the numbers tend to be higher because you're using your whole survey value. But seem to remember. Oh, anomalies. Anomalies are what get the bonus from the research capability. But in addition, even if the number's the same, you have a chance, first, of finding stuff. Okay, that's cool. I would be able to maybe get this counter, but I'd also be able to find an anomaly, which in both cases, that gets me an IP, and this thing is, I think, worth victory points at the end of the game, being the person to complete the last survey. Not complete your last survey. Okay. That got us through the shipbuilding pretty easily. Let me look for combats. The place combat was available was here. Neither side chose to do it. Numbers aren't that great. He's got a bigger ship coming in. The Givers do. They just, the Starfarers definitely don't want to start attacking people. That, I think, will just cause them problems. They've got enough problems. And the Givers are like, yeah, I'm not going to pick on him and potentially hurt myself for no value. I don't have a directive that says I should. And I just don't think combat is that I don't think it's that valuable a thing without being directed to do it at this point in the game. Now, once somebody starts taking a lead, and it's obvious that they're in the lead, you might want to pick on them, and you might want to create some kind of coalition. But right now, there's not any kind of diplomacy of that nature really forming, except, wow, the Praetorians really are dicks. Things correctly now. I'm deploying a base, and that means I have to draw a trade thingamabobber, a demand counter. I think I get 2 and choose one, but I don't really remember. Cargo transfer and trade. Trade goods in demand. Or has a base, immediately removes. The player completes gets 2 demand markers from the pool and chooses one. We check him to see if he has any bonuses. He does not. First time we're doing this in the correct order, so I'm going to go into detail. I pull my 2. I get machinery and fauna. I would have liked beverages, but not that much. I want to sell rare materials to Earth. Both can be produced in Earth, I believe. I would like to see values on them. That's got a value of 4. Do we have any machinery? That's got a value of 4. What are their pluses for planetary? HKML. I got an H here, that would be a bonus. This again would be a chart that would be useful. LH, that would be a bonus. Kind of doesn't matter. Well, we're going to give them machinery. You could make an argument for either one, but almost any colony is going to need some kind of machinery. So that seems reasonable. Oh, you know what I could do? I could look for what other people have and not, I don't know. Fuck it, I've already shaken it up. But I could look for what other people have. Well, there's a flora right near me. Other people have fauna. I don't know if anybody, somebody has machinery, but it's the starfarers. I don't mind them. So yeah, they could sell it to me and that would be great. Let me look to see if there's any other bases being formed. Aren't, but then I have to make a check at the same time, which I kind of forgot, which is, hey, is there anything I want to pick up from any of these planets with anyone? So like here, there's no ships there. I don't think that there are any cases where there's, so here there's a lot of resources, no ships, and that's it. Which means we will be going to movement. This is, I ought to take another break before I figure out my movement because I left Raid to play something relatively short. I just want to make sure that I get everything I want done right now. I'll probably be up pretty shortly though. Not long at all because I found myself a really nasty battle in Raid that takes about 10 minutes for each fight. They've got like these let it do auto battles. It's a limited resource, but I don't give a shit right now. Like, I'm just sick of sitting in front of the computer. Unfortunately, I'm going to be awake all fucking night. There's no question. I mean, I'm drinking coffee, but the thing is that I slept, more than 8 hours during the day. All right. So we're on choices for movement. Kind of a hard call. There's a warship coming in. I can get out of there. The consortium didn't have any. I can get out of there. But where the hell can I go? There are warships fucking everywhere, right? I guess I could go to Earth and then back to here because this guy is heading that way. Well, there's warships there. Unfortunately for me, the transhumanists don't have many warships to begin with, it seems. And I didn't build one. But I am planning on building it next turn to help hold Earth defenses. So I could run. My movement rate is nothing special, right? I don't know. It's just, yeah, everybody's at ×4 now. Or I could stick around and just say, this is not that expensive a ship. If he wants to blow it up, give me some IP. Give me some mechanical goods and whatever. It's worth doing during the exploration. And I think that's the way I'm going to go. Because this is just not that good a ship. And at this point in the game, I don't feel like I can afford to have shitty ships. Especially the transhumanists just don't seem to have many. Yeah, I'm up to CV3 already. Unless there's something hidden in the thing, they just don't have very many ships. It is worth me running away with the RE though. And yeah, we'll go to Procyon. That keeps us open for going this way, because we're one of the people with unlimited range on those. But I don't want to send him too far out when there's goodies nearby. And I fucked up once again. Habitability here is only 40%. He's not down that low. He doesn't have any bonus. I think he just built this. He really was supposed to get that tech last turn. It probably arrived this turn. But you know, it would have cost me 7. I only had 5, and I'm just not thinking that clearly. So this base is not established. I don't think that impacted anything. Because I think I just established it, and I'm like, oh, can't do that. Gonna have to keep my eye out for shit like that. It's just, it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember. Right now I'm looking at the true path and kind of regretting having built this because there's so much warfare potential around me. Of course, this doesn't help much. And my big warship would have been my only ship that I could build. So I've got a couple of choices facing potential violence. And I don't know, the syndicate likes to steal. Oh, if I do research here, he can steal from me, but not this turn. If I stick around, he might shoot me down. Terrible, right? Again, I get an IP, I get a mechanics. He gets some escalation. I may get more than one IP. It might be worth it for me. So I think I'm going to just leave him out here. This one's a little bit more iffy. If I send this way, there's a bigger warship there. But of course, I can't live even with one turn's increase in bio, which I don't have the points for. I can't live here. I could build a base somewhere else, conceivably. This kind of looks like a quiet area. But these guys are getting close. Now, what I don't know is that they're actually heading there. I could reinforce my base here. I'm not really all that concerned. What am I intending to do with all this shit? Beverages, entertainment. I'm skilled entertainers. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sell entertainment for +1 billion. Ooh. Instead of building all these guys, I could sell entertainment here for more. That would give me $6 back. Huh. Once again, not being able to pay attention to all this. You can produce entertainment. Oh, nobody's demanding entertainment. That's the problem. I can produce it anywhere. I can't sell it anywhere. My entertainment's not good enough to convince, you know, a small outpost of miners to pay me that kind of money. Yeah, so that's, I don't want to deliver that. So yeah, I don't know what to do with that ship. And I can't tell this habitability. It's 60. 60 is something I can go to, but there's a lot of nasties there. I don't know. Movement allowance is still 4. You know, wherever I go, somebody can fucking hunt me. The thing is, the threat of combat may be worse than the reality of it. Like, the reality is it's not really a great payoff in general. Anyway, I'm going to expand and build another base in this direction. I'm set up to do my exploration of Sirius. That's great. It's not like I'm going to be able to live there. And that puts me to exploration, and I will need to swap batteries. The designer had actually commented he was surprised how little I was fucking up. Well, I'm making up for it. I think the only reason it was so little was the game was still simple at that point. I think this game really, really taxes the ability to like keep track of all the things and balance it out, especially on a first play, you know. But I'm good at fucking shit up in a lot of games, so I'm not too worried about that. I know I sound like I'm angry when I do it and everything, but you know, I am angry with me and whatever. And some of what I'm angry about is that I'm doing it on video and I'm fucking up. Not so much that it shows that I'm a screw up, but that people might like watch one video and think everything's okay. More than anything else. I think I did it before, but we're going to do research with this one. He has a base of 2. I think that gives him 1. That gives me a 4. And I don't have to roll for any risk. So I get myself an engineering chip. Huh. Nice. Of course, it would have been a physics chip from here. He did not succeed, and he got damaged. We're seeing a lot of damage this turn. 3 ships have been damaged so far. We'll pause in the midst of the exploration segment. Nothing exciting to report. You know, didn't find anything and get my result there or anything like that, my directive. But I had to go get new tea and a new pipe. And I realized my choice of pipes has changed significantly. I have pipes that I used to use a lot during gaming that were smaller when I was in Phoenix. But now that I have to climb up and down the stairs, I don't know what it is. I've just gotten much more used to smoking somewhat larger pipes in general. Now, the one I had up here before was kind of small, but and stayed away from the really tiny balls. Not ridiculously tiny, but like, you know, like 15 minutes or whatever, that I used to use a fair amount in Phoenix, and have moved to this. This is my preferred pipe for gaming up here. You know, it's just weird. It's like, you know, the bowl is like 3 times as big as what I used to use. And whatever, you know, just feel like chattering. A quick check, make sure I handled everything that I should have the way I should have. I think I did. I don't know. I mean, you know, some successful exploration, etc. But the Givers, wow. Collecting up tons of engineering there. These guys did too, but they lost their ship in doing it. So couldn't resolve this because all I have there are REs, and they can't deal with that. That's a lie. But all I had there was this RE, and it couldn't deal with it. These two together can find that, get me the IPs, and then I'll get the extra information on worlds that are adjacent, which is kind of cool. Quantities of engineering everywhere. The consortium decides they want to get in on the IP value for building CV4s. So I bought that. I get one more. Oh shit, wrong player. I thought I got one more. I was going to say it's funny because the ship piles are different. So yeah, I actually get 2 more. Neither one with very much capacity to carry, but I have big carrying capacity ships. These give me some military functionality along with carrying, which is nice. It's not really what I expected from the consortium. But I was looking at this. When True Path gets this, they get 1 CV4. But they have like 3 CV5s. So, you know, there's real weirdness as to like the quality and quantity of ships that you have of each class. Weirdness, I mean differences. I'm not trying to, cast aspersions at this point. This is something I kind of really like about the game, but I don't know. It's a means of directing the differentials between the philosophies of these different factions. Trying to think of another sound that I could put in there, because I'm a chronic alliterator. But anyway, yeah, it's like, it's not the one that I would choose. I would rather you get to, like, kind of like in Starfire, design your own ships, design your own society and everything. But, you have some capacity to do that in terms of what you choose with the tech, what you play in cards and stuff like that. So it's not like the ships are that big a limitation. They are a huge limitation. No, they are. But you can choose within that limitation in a way that kind of, expresses the philosophy where the tech doesn't really. The tech chart doesn't succeed in that. Turn for the transhumanists. They bought engineering techs cost 3 less. That cost them 15 biology, which is huge. But I've been holding on to my hand for this card to a large extent. And then I spent 7 more to make sure that I'm one of the first people into there to get my IP for that. But this is a big deal because I have a fair amount of engineering points. That's going to allow me to play around in that area a lot cheaper. Decided with the high cost that biology is going to be accumulating now, it's going to be a +9. I'll go for a level 2. Yes, the high cost is lower for me than for most people, but it's getting kind of ridiculous. Even though I'm a couple of spaces away and don't have biology chits, etc. I want to see if I get a good card or whatever. But if I get a good card, it kind of sucks because, well, I got that physics advantage. But I might have to dump my hand, or I might choose to dump my hand simply for... Who has the bonus? He has the fleet improvement, yeah. Simply to recycle and like build up. I don't know. I did it again to refresh myself on these, make sure things are going well. I'm thinking about the Praetorians who are considering, hey, let me try to get to Warlord. It's a relatively cheap, gives me a +1 to combat, but you can't hold any other titles. And that's kind of problematic because Cartographer is owned 3 exploration markers of last completed survey. I think they're the only person who's completed any, and they have 2. I think they may avoid Warlord. Now, they have something else they're trying to do, which is going to give them escalation. So I don't know. But I don't I really like the idea of being able to get that other one, because that leaves me open to picking up more. Now, the advantages to them, the +1 to combat rolls is obviously useful to somebody who's going to be violent, but this one is not the one I want. That one's hard to remember. +5% chance of finding anomalies. That's kind of sweet. Because they're worth IP and they open up opportunities in areas that you're operating in. Of course, they open up opportunities that may not be good for you, but I have a tendency to have a lot of warships as the Praetorians. So I'm probably in good shape for this. I don't have as much research. But a reduction in our email function seems minor, but the only thing I had decent points in was engineering, and I didn't have enough to get to that without bucking into other stuff, and that's going to get cheaper. In fact, if a lot of people go for it, it'll get a lot cheaper because it's high. Like the $10 ones, they still only go down to 5, but this could go down to 5 if a lot of people go for it, so screw it. These decisions are just so painful. So the Praetorians here. First I look at my cards, and I have one I really like, this Gifted Artist. It's going to cost me 13 biology. I have 10. I have no cash. It would cost me all of this and 2 of my influence. That feels too expensive, right? The next thing I look at is, okay, is there anything I can do with engineering? I have 13, 14 engineering. I'm already up here. I could buy something for 7. I'd be losing a point to do that. And it's not really something I'm all that excited about getting, right? Because I'm all the way up on this line. This I just don't have the points for. 8, 13, 14. I mean, again, I have the influence I could throw in, but it's not something I want to do. The only one that's available is maybe the whatever this is called, Improved Interstellar Expeditions. I could get that for 5. I'd be paying 1 too many for that. And same if I use influence, right? I don't know. I really don't know. I think I'm going to do that because I want to keep that card. I like that card for the biology one. But not being able to get change sucks. But actually, this is not a bad thing, and it's at a reasonably cheap price. Rivers max out by buying every type of tech. May have been kind of a mistake, but I looked and said, hey, I want the orbital ships thing. I want some bigger ships. I'm having some difficulties, some worries. I don't have a lot of combat capability. CV4 starts to give me some. So I spent the 20 engineering on that. Then I said, wait. These are the guys who have the problem. They haven't been able to settle. So I had to buy this for 7. That actually cost me a couple of bucks. I could have spent an influence, but whatever. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't care about my cards. I have some tech built up anyway, so I should be able to do some stuff. I'm going to also buy the long distance probes for 5. Just get myself into range where I'm starting, to get the CV range up there and all kind of stuff like that. So big expenditure on their side, 1 of each. And I'm looking at dumping my hand because bio is the only thing I have. I just don't see these as that valuable. Being able, certainly not at this early point in the game. We're not seeing populations that big. The scouting, that's nice, but I see the core tech over there as more important. And that's a fleet improvement, so it would cost me more. And I know I'm going into too much fucking detail. Finally, the Shining Path decides that they'd rather discard their cards than spend on anything. So kind of the opposite of other people. We have what? 3 IPs being handed out. Just back around to the end of a turn. I don't know if raid is done. It's been busy. Every time I go down there, switch pipes again, stuff like that. It's been chugging away, so I think we'll just take a bit of a break, see how it's doing. Well, it's getting close to midnight. I'll put it to Tuesday. And in terms of raid stuff, yeah, I'm done with what I can do right now, or what I want to do right now. I have a whole bunch left. I'm too awake to take a nap. I'm giving up on that other game, or at least slowing down, not paying much attention to it. So here we are in 2230. We give our payout. He's back up to 5 IP. Just want to turn. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. It really is. There are a lot of turns. And we should know what this last one is. It's settlement, growth, and migration. We have not done that before. So let's definitely look at how that works. Yeah, I know, we read it. Players can declare blockades which will cause IPs and escalation. This will prevent all growth and migration. Okay, that's interesting to keep in mind. We're going to have to find planets and see what's going on. I think you have to have greater naval strength, right? What is base production? You have to beat all their ships plus the number of settlements. Okay. For growth, if a base has all right, first, for non-blockaded bases, roll percentiles, and if the base has more than 10 settlements, also roll a 10-sided die at the same time. Okay. Nobody's going to be that big. If a base has 10 or fewer settlements, add 1 to the base. Why am I rolling percentile is for the migration. Okay. Otherwise, for each full 10 settlements, add 1 for any remaining fraction of 10. No, add 1. For any remaining fraction of 10, add a settlement if the 10-sided die roll was that number or less. I don't have to worry about that. Everybody's going to roll 1 for growth. Migration, you have to get percentile less than, equal to or less than the system's habitability. Worded the wrong way for me, but no biggie. It works either way. For each full 10 settlements at all bases you have, less than the player with the most, increase your migration by plus 10%. And there are some things that increase the habitability based on that. Okay, let's start looking. Technically, I think we should have to declare blockades all at once, but I don't expect there are going to be many opportunities for that. Maybe I'll put a marker. This one, there's nothing going on. There's 3 guys here. He'll grow by 1. And that has a 70%. It's owned by the consortium, who has no bonuses. That is less than 70, so that goes up to a 5. And immediately we're seeing, oh my God, you know, the numbers for this guy that he's aiming for him, they might change again. It's just, it's really painful. That particular directive is really painful. No base here because we fucked up. We weren't able to inhabit it. We got a base here. There's no problems. I don't think there are any bases that have any problems, so I'm just gonna back away and roll my dice and whatnot. Right, so we did those, we got some increases, but at Alpha Centauri we have the true path. After settlement growth in one system where you and another player both have bases, you can roll a die on a 4 or less, you convert one of that player's settlements. The way it's worded, I think it's you pick one other player. I could take from either. I would rather make him happier, so I'm going to go after that. And we'll see. And we do not succeed in getting an additional base. That feels like it should be their biggest thing. Actually, what isn't is their habitability is 20% more. I missed that. Are we the ones that got screwed? No, these are the guys who got screwed and did not get the habitability increase. So that's all the base increases that happen. We got those to reshuffle. And then it is time to go into the main play of the game with the transfer markers and then building ship. Few arrivals. I don't know if I see. Yeah, we got this guy coming in to an ugly situation. I guess kind of the most exciting thing is somebody returned to Earth. How about that? Ready to get shellacked. by someone building a ship there. If I'm lucky, I have lots of money. I hope I have room to build that ship, because that'll help defend me. To the hard decisions. This guy has very little money, but enough to buy this shitty prospector. It would be safe at Earth. His RE range is unlimited. His speed multiplier is ×2. Not easy to get it to ×1. He's got to get this first. Or to ×1 is what I was, yeah. Essentially, pretty close to the speed of light at that point. I don't know if it's worth a 1-point prospector, a robot ship. Let me recount my ships. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think that's it available out there. I'm only allowed 5 total. I think it's a bad idea to build the ship at this point, because who knows what comes up. Maybe it's Earth production or something. I might have a shit ton of money and be able to build one of these big boys. And yeah. And again, I keep stopping and telling you my thought processes, but it's like the situation is ever evolving. So it's like the things that you put in mind are changing as the game goes on. Transhumanists, he has this wonderful transport ship here. I could demobilize it and get, I guess, $5 back, but I don't have another transport available. And I want to haul that medicine. That's why I went back, not to get $5. The medicine itself, under its demand, I think I had decided would be worth 4, because there's both a P and an M. So, you know, I get most of the money if I ship out. And I could buy me some additional colonists. Alternative, I have another option. I could remove this. I don't get anything back for it. Or like I could remove this, but that I get something for if somebody blows it up. So I could remove this. It's relatively cheap, and I could build myself a nice military ship to help protect my ship. And maybe build some, and I actually get a cheaper price off of it if I think I've usually remembered of it. Oh, no, that's malfunction rate. God, my eyes are so bad. But I think that's actually my best move, is to build settlements and give myself that other big ship. And in doing so, for me to do that, this is the worst thing I have on the board. Left up in the air is settlers in this case. I've been building settlers right on board the ship, feeling like that's the right way to do it. I'm not so sure. Build and repair ships. This is where you build settlers. I do believe maybe you build them over in the cargo transfer. Yeah, you build them in cargo transfer. Okay. Well, I paid the money now, but I think it's clear. I think the best place to keep them is over with the trade goods. I think if we had ships that got destroyed with settlers on board, they probably shouldn't have been, and I know we did. I know we had ones that were attacked, but I think we had somebody get destroyed that way. Oops, that's an error. But yeah, so I'm going to build the ship, but I'm also going to pay for those settlers. If I can't put the settlers on board, I can take the cash back for them if something gets screwed up. But I'd rather do it in this order, because this is when I'm paying attention to my money and everything, right? I don't want to have to do that twice. Keep in mind, some of these settlements are getting to be a size where they can actually build their own ships. To build it at a regular base, you can spend equal to the number of settlements there, So I think we have a 5 somewhere as an example, which is enough to build a good RE or maybe even a lousy CV, but I don't know if there's any that are that cheap. Why this guy didn't get placed? Oh, he just arrived, yeah. He might be going further on. Might not. I don't know yet. A lot of production. He built this big old boy. Could have built this one, but it could still only carry one thing. It could still only, he only had enough money for one settler, so I'd rather have the big military ship. Oh, fuck. I don't know if he has enough ships. Don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he doesn't have enough cash. I'd have to delete something if that's the case. I don't know if it's worth it. I think I'd rather keep the cash right now. That's a nice big combat ship. And so that was 15 bucks I'm holding. It just gives me a little bit more flexibility, and I'm not, yeah, but I'd like to go there. Yeah, why don't we, what's my CV movement? No. That's the 4 that everybody's got. Yeah, let's build the ship. Let's build a big old ship. Because we feel safe from him. We don't really want to attack, we just feel safe. Work my way through character or players for combat. I'm doing full analysis on the board instead of area by area. Okay, first of all, he's got a couple of options. He could attack here, but let me think about this first, because that may determine my choices, right? But here, I'm undamaged and could schwack one of these 2 ships, which might be a good idea, might not. But here, I've got raid capability. So I choose an armed undamaged CV. There's no CVs of either of the other factions there. And I roll a die, and I take damage if I take a shitty percentile roll. Now, I am loaded with cargo right now, which may not be the best time to do it, but I'm not a fast ship anyway. A 4, it doesn't really matter. Now, I have the benefit of reducing my chances. However, I also have to worry about what happens to me for escalation. I think it's just 1 for a raid. Yeah, it's just 1 for a raid. I might destroy settlements, but I'm better at not doing that. Stealing stuff doesn't hurt me, but I don't have capacity on this ship to steal stuff. But I can steal money. Who do I want to pick on? I guess I could steal goods and space them. I don't know. I am going to pick on the guy with goods, because that gives me the most opportunities. Okay, we did not take a hit. We got a 4. That's steal $2 billion. I don't want to lower that. That's my bonus. So I want $2 billion from the transhumanists. Awesome! I made money. Okay, but I get an escalation and they get an IP. Take a look at my escalation in a moment. Let me just put this here so I remember it. Hey, I got 2 more victory points. That's awesome. Pretty good escalation. And I don't have to discard the victory point ones, I think. I'm not sure. But that gives me an opening for another escalation. Because if I discard half, I can keep the victory point one. So that's kind of cool. All right, well, that was a successful battle. What about here? Do I want to blow something up? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. I got a few places. I'm also involved over here where I could just blow up that RE, and that would cost me one. That definitely seems like a good idea, so let's do that. Let's get another escalation. Earth production, +1 engineering marker. Really? We're going on a war economy. That gives this to green, and green gets a chip for being blown up. Well, I'm doing so well, I want to keep drawing escalations because I don't know if I have to throw away. I almost think I do. I know I was saying I don't think you have to, but let's take a look. Discard escalation. Now reset the initiative. After players discard half their escalation. Yeah, it looks to me like I have to discard half, so let's blow something else up. All right, we picked on the transhumanists here. Do we want to keep picking on the same enemy, or do we want to blow these fuckers up? Well, these guys are unwanteds. They can cause issues. So I'm going to pick on them. I just went after the transhumanists because they had resources I could blow up. So now we have a fleet combat here, and I'll be rolling on the 3 table. I don't believe I have any advantages, and I don't think they have any defensive advantages. I get a 4. That's going to destroy this ship because it's a CV2. Was this a CV2 as well? Yes, it was. Okay. Destroying that ship gets me more escalation. 1 combat, a CV destroyed. So, oh, I forgot to give an IP to him. So that's going to be a 2 IP swing for this guy. 1 exchanges for a 3. I don't know if those bug me. There's something that doesn't bug me. That it comes in. The colonies. I like that they cover most of the numbers, so you don't have a lot of different things. And then I get 2 more picks out of here. Let me shuffle because I kind of could see. Earth production -2 billion, but more victory points. So yeah, I'm going to have to throw 2 of these away. That means I'm going to be getting rid of this one, obviously. But I may want to just keep collecting escalation if I've got good ones. Profit through violence, right? Well, the Praetorians definitely want to make this attack. So they're on the 6 table. They have some pluses, but they also have effects here. So they have... Ooh, their migration chance went down. I don't know if they only shipped a 1 there or a 2. I'll leave it as is. Again, all the shit to track. Yeah, ours are not so good. We have 1 good one. But we want to do this. So that's 6 on the combat value. It looks to me like I don't have a -1. I thought I had a -1. Maybe I threw it out. A +1 to the die roll, which puts me at 8. I do 2 hits. That's definitely enough to kill this. And so that's going to be combat, CV destroyed, settlement destroyed. That's going to be 3. There's a reason he's the Chancellor. We get a bio. Wait a minute. You also get mech or engineering points when things are destroyed. 1 biology plus engineering equal to a quarter of the ship's size. A quarter of this. That's actually 1. They should get 1. I think I've been screwing that up. Well, I know I haven't been reading it that way. But you do round up. So we get these 2. We didn't give these to the last player who got destroyed. That was yellow, lost 1. They should also get a bio and a mech. Nice. Got a 5. I think I got a 5 mech over there. I don't always notice, I don't always note that the roll is good. And then we were saying there's 3 for this. I already gave him the points, but we get 3 draws from the Cup of Fate. Okay, initiative penalty. Lots of victory points. That's good. And settlements cost plus 2 billion on Earth. We got another plus 1 here. Wow. Collecting up a lot of escalation creates a lot of annoying game state, though. There's no question there. And he's been picked on. He's feeling really bad. I usually like blue is sort of my favorite color, so I end up. I hope I don't use that as a security question anywhere. This is why I hate predetermined security questions. You should be able to write your own question. Of course, people can cheat with that, but you got to make it kind of careful. And I mean, the most important thing is the answer. That's the thing that's secret. So no matter how complex you make your security question or whatever, the answer has to have a certain complexity to it. But like, what's your favorite color? Well, 90% of people are going to fit within like 6 choices, right? Basically. So it becomes very easy to answer something like that. A lot of them are researchable. Things like, mother's maiden name and stuff like that. And then other ones are really, really like, some of them might end up being obscure, but if they're obscure, they might be obscure to you. I found that I had answered one incorrectly. Like, I know what the actual answer is, and that is not what I put down. And I don't know whether I was trying to be clever and fooled myself, or if I was just mistaken at some point for some stupid reason. I don't know, but it's really weird. Okay, where are we? We just did the Praetorian attacks. All right. I got others, but I don't know if they have any. There were any others that were appealing to the players who got them. Now, he has the option to take Warlord. He has 6 escalation markers. He could pay 8 for this. That would give him a bonus to combat rolls, which would cancel out. Does he have a penalty now? No, he has penalty to his initiative. I should put that over with this. Of course, then when I flush the markers, I'll forget that this one exists. I don't think he wants to buy that for the reasons I gave, that he wants to collect up for this other one. Does anybody else have any? I'll look. A couple of players do. The Starfarers, the True Path, and the Transhumanists all have a shot at this. Now, this one costs 7 IP. So both the Starfarers and the True Path have 7 IP to spend. This gives Admiral +1 to combat roll, +2 to combat rolls, can't raid, can only attack players who have more escalation. That's nice. I don't know what kind of Admiral it is. It's like the non-violent Admiral. Doesn't really make sense. It's the defensive admiral. Okay. There's no specification as to when you get to do this. But here's the thing. The syndicate attacked him first. So I think he gets first option at it. Another opportunity, another choice would be to give it just to initiative after the whole combat phase. Again, this stuff's not really clearly spelled out. I think these can be bought at the moment that they happen. I think that's the only way they make sense, which means the true path would have had to make its choice at that point. They are going to take it. They really like this one. It's particularly advantageous for them, even though it costs them a shitload of this. It's worth 10 victory points. These guys are worth about a half each. And that means it's time to draw a new one. Title's in a nice little pile. I just pulled one, but I don't think there's been any need to reshuffle or anything like that. So we get Planetary Architect. One extra terrifying action per terrifying phase. You have to terraform to M class to get this, and then it costs 10 IPs. It's a heavy cost, but it's okay. I like the advantages these give. They feel like a good idea, like to buy them when possible, especially early in the game. Later in the game, maybe you don't make as much off of them, but I don't know. They tend to score pretty well. Okay, so that's the end of combat phase. I crowded the map over this way to give these guys a little bit more room, and now I don't really have room for everything that I want. I can slide this over. There we go. Cargo transfer and trade, and this is when technically you would you would buy your crew from your settlers from Earth. That on Earth, then over here, got an interesting option. I got two guys. I could drop them off if I had anywhere to do with these materials that are here. I have flora and rare materials. Now, the consortium does not particularly care about that, which may mean I want to settle another base. I'm allowed 2 bases at this point with them. I can go to 60% worlds, which is not this. Make sure I don't have some kind of other factor. What's my range? My CV range is still 1. Oh, I could shift over here, and that's kind of advantageous to me. And then if I need to, I can always come back. So I think I do not want to switch goods there. I missed one here. I skipped over that. Oh, I can't create a base there yet. I have to deal with the problem, which will be this turn. But these guys, I could drop these off and add them to my current base on Alpha Centauri. I don't have anywhere else I can colonize right now. So for example, here, the habitability is too low. But here it's high enough, and I can actually fork off that even though my CV range is still 1. And I'll have a couple of turns to have a chance at finding stuff. These guys might find stuff. Working together, they might be better able to deal with any anomalies or anything like that. That seems like the best move rather than increasing this. And I certainly don't want to haul the food anywhere. I got nowhere to put it. And I actually have a card that helps me with food. So I think I've made my decisions as to all my drop-offs anywhere. That means it's movement time. I hate this. Sending more stuff out to Taw Ceti, since I have a base next to it. I can expand. But with the consortium, and that's fine, that's what they're trying to do. They're actually trying to explore Epsilon Eridani, but that's this ship. Once I have a base here, I can move all these guys down. I'm on the transhumanists, And I was all clever and built this warship to protect my transport ship that I had there. Well, there's a problem. That warship, so the transport ship wants to go here, dump the medicine, maybe sell it, I guess, maybe bring more people into play there, because that's my only base right now, but I might want to expand my base somewhere else. But there's a warship sitting out there. Now that warship probably is going to leave. Do I want to count on that or not? I don't know. This guy has made it clear that this guy has made it clear that he's willing to attack enemy ships. Oh boy, is he. And didn't buy the warlord capability. So I don't know what's going on with him, but he seems to just be on a violent, rampage. I probably want to get out of there. This is a syndicate ship. I pointed over at the Praetorians over there. But again, it seems like there's two players willing to go ultra violent, and yeah, let's get away from them. Unless one of those players is active here, I'm sending my big warship in as well. It doesn't really hurt me if I want to go further, because the multiplier, if anything, it'll go down. I'll have bought better speed. Poor, poor Starfarers. They sent a warship out here, it's damaged. It could do research, but I'm facing a lot of enemy ships. I may send it back to Earth with the hopes of repairing it or selling it. What's the order there? Reduce transfer. I get to repair it before any combat. That's really important. So you can sail into Earth with a damaged ship and repair it before you actually have to fight anyone. It actually make more sense for these two to be swapped. The reason being, ships come in, they fight. Newly built ships, you might be able to, there's a good chance you'd be able to slip them out. But on the other hand, that wouldn't allow for blockading type actions. Kind of almost feel like, yeah, put the combat before the build and repair, and then a further combat. I don't know. It would be complicated to do. Like more complicated than most of this game actually is. Most of this game's difficulties come in so much game state and so many little mechanical things to take care of. Settlement numbers for the Praetorians, it's becoming really painful. So this guy has 6, 7 settlements. This guy has 4, 5, 6. I can't be sure which is going to be there. Now this ship wants to stay here, and this one hasn't arrived yet. I can attack his base, but that's not gonna solve my issue. And in fact, if I wipe out his base, I'll be reducing, or if I damage his base, I'll be reducing the amount of settlements he has and make the decision to go in this direction a bad choice. I want to hunt down his fleet, but he's bigger than this guy right now. But I don't know by the time I reach one of them whether they actually will be. Probably want to clear these out as quickly as I can, and then maybe move and clear that out, and maybe just ignore my directive. But wow, directives are hard to follow. Interesting thing for the givers, I got a damaged ship here. I can't do research anymore. I may choose to risk the malfunction rate, although it's relatively high. It's 50%, so that's kind of dangerous. But if I stick around for $1, I can repair them because I have a base now. I didn't have a base before, but now I have one. Competing things to work with when you're trying to figure out where you want to settle. And this wouldn't happen, obviously, in a solo or co-op game, but in the fully opposed warlike version that I'm playing, there's advantages to keeping a locality of your forces, right? So you can bring your fleets together, so you can, you know, defend the areas more easily. Yes, you want to spread out into bases, but especially as CV speeds get higher, or the multiplier gets lower, you will be in a position where, like, you maybe want things to be able to react to one another more easily. So there's some desire for me to, say, go up here, which I could settle, and has some neat advantages, which is appealing. And I think that's where I'm going to go. But there's other reasons to head in other directions, in the sense of, look, this is the shorter portion of the board, and I have a limited number of bases I'm allowed to have. If I devote myself over here, I'm kind of giving up over here, and that may be a losing strategy, right? However, there are lots of nasties out here. Now, I got a big nasty, which is, I don't know which way to go. Like here, so here there's a bonus. Here, I feel like this is the safer. I think I'm going to go here with the knowledge that I have, although knowledge of other players' actions is going to make that, like, the Praetorians are quite likely to be fucking with me because of that. But I don't know that, and I look and I see their center of gravity is over here, so that's kind of appealing. Plus, I don't know. I mean, I could go someplace completely different, right? I could go here. Why don't I do that? Why don't I go? Because it'll cost me 8 to get there. That's why. Do I just want to throw reinforcements in? Yeah. I lost my number chit. There it is. 8's a lot. Now I can go 4 and then maybe 3 next time to get there. But I think I'd rather settle. Do I have other green stuff that wants to move? You really kind of have to scan the whole board. Among other things, hey, are there any places that I can no longer, you know, um, that I can no longer survey? But there's only 2 places that have been fully surveyed, both by the Praetorians. Here and here. So that's kind of interesting. Running into a situation where there may be competitions. Are there anything that requires surveying here? Terraforming. The own 3 exploration markers could be an important one. Um, this is the thing. I've been doing system by system, and I do the surveying and whatever other exploration I might do there. And then I resolve it. And then I go to the next one. And that's very helpful in terms of managing the chaos, right? But it's not correct because the surveys actually all happen in initiative order, which means if I succeed in surveying something, I should be going back to it and recording that. Now, right now, the only thing that's a threat is that last survey marker. So I'm willing to deal with that. And if somebody else gets 3 before the Praetorian, at the same time the Praetorians do, well, then I worry about their initiative order for being able to attach that, because they would have gotten their 3rd one at the same time. So I'm just trying to make sure that by me kind of violating the sequence of play a little bit, for simplicity's sake, I'm okay, and I think I am. Since the actual exploration is simultaneous, but nothing is actually simultaneous, I don't feel like you have to declare these. So I get to roll this one first, and if I succeed, maybe I choose not to do it. I've gotten sort of a success there. I've gotten a success. The Darwin has found, okay. I gotta decide if I want to do this one. I don't know. I guess so. Way up, I found a planet or so up here with a destruction. But this guy, he wants to resolve this. That will give him 5 IP and a machinery. I've got no room for the machinery. That sucks. I think I'd rather have the dude than the machinery. Nobody even wants. Well, this place wants machinery, but anyway. So there's no 15s. And then what's the effect of this? Produces additional machinery and productions and and ships built here cost $1 billion less. This becomes a nice little location. If I can get a big colony there, that'll be nice. Yeah, I'm sailing into a place I can't explore. Terrible. Caught myself, right? I pulled, no, I resolved one. I thought I pulled an anomaly and didn't give an IP, but I have not. Okay. I'm going to get it successful here. And the givers found an anomaly here, destroying their ship. Colossal Comet. Gives IP and money. A lot of ships being wrecked. And you got to come up with your process for, like, the mechanisms as to what you do, what kind of order you do things in. That comes easiest to you. In solo, it's a lot easier to do that. In an opposed game, I almost feel like you'd want to stick to the sequence. But, then you'd have people, unlike with where I'm going, where I'm like, oh, let's look and see if anybody succeeded at anything. You'd have people not noticing that they had an opportunity or something, which would really kind of suck, to tell you the truth. What did I just do? I just hurt him. Or I blew that up or something. I don't know. Yeah, I blew this up. He got his IP. He got his engineering. These guys aren't there yet. We have finished exploration, and we're at developed techs. I have to swap batteries. I also want to take a break at least to see what time it is, because I've got something on RAID that I've got to do at 1 a.m. And if I don't catch it very close to 1 a.m., I end up losing out on something, on opportunities. You got to hit it right at the reset time. But that's there's kind of a weird thing, because there's one that I almost always pick that's very good for me and very easy. It's just automatic. But they've implemented some changes in the game, and I failed this last week, and I'm pretty sure I didn't actually fail. I think it's just there's a new kind of auto battle that I used, and I think it fucked me over. I haven't gotten a reply yet from their support line. Yeah, I kind of fucked something up, which to the detriment of my clan, but to my benefit, but not cool at all. Trying to multitask and getting so excited about timing it and everything. I also had some food. All right, on to the developed techs. Let's see what happens. Oh boy, I think I've been screwing up. Yet another thing. I like to catch these when I can. I think I've been ignoring fast ships. Just looking to see if there are any kicking around. This thing's damaged. This was fast. It's at 4. I know I did it this last turn. So I'll correct those. This is carrying stuff, so it wouldn't qualify. This one, for some reason, is slow. I think that's it. There's some possibility that these should be a turn quicker, but I don't know. That would be the consortium, who would be moving it for, they might well have left at the right time. I might have calculated them correctly, but I'm not sure. Again, all kinds of things to keep in head. But, you know, fuck-ups are fuck-ups, and they happen in any game. This game feels like it's really built, you know, to create a lot of capacity to screw up. But it also has enough luck and enough other factors in play that maybe the screw-ups won't be that big. In fact, the worst position here, I don't think, is due to any kind of fuck-ups. It's due to somebody else. Well, I mean, they may have made some bad choices as to where they were going. Everybody's bought. We have the True Light or whatever it is. The True Path. I'll never remember. Slipping their way into buying these. That was just trying to get things cheap. Praetorians have gone up to CV4, getting some heavier ships. Remember, they're the ones who probably want the heaviest ships. Like, they have the least ships available at any given time, so it feels important, but they're lagging behind the Givers, who are going to go up to CV5. We'll worry about that in a moment. Range, just getting cheap thing. Oh, fuck. I already have that. Oops. Let me try to figure out what I can do about that. Of course, the cost of not having counters, your counters in every space, just trying to trace, you know, the furthest along or whatever, I knew that would fuck me up. I have difficulty assessing that. About a 5-point chit, that's what they would have spent minimum. And I think that's what they did spend. I don't know if they used a 5-point chit or like a 2 and a 3 or something. Probably a 2 and a 3, but this gives them less flexibility in terms of what they buy. Instead, paid in paid in engineering, get them on the board here. they're not there at all. That clears this entire row. So we'll give that another all factions. And now, everyone's still not got this. We've been seeing a lot of damage, but you know, it doesn't seem that terrible. You take a damage, you pay $3, whatever, but it pays up. So yeah, we got the CV movement rate being opened up for the first time by the Syndicate, rather than trying to push towards the range type thing, which they could have done cheaper, but they're going to get an IP from that. That's 2 IPs that I owe people. And then up here, a third IP, the consortium has picked up terraforming, figuring, hey, it's going to come up again. I can try to improve worlds where I'm at. I would take a break at this point, but I've got about probably at this point about a half hour before I have to go back down to play raid. I was going to say about an hour. No, it's about a half hour at most. But I don't actually have to play right away, unlike the clan quests being reset or whatever, which again I fucked up and screwed everybody over. And we'll have to like put myself on the naughty list for that. But I think I'm going to just start playing another turn of this. I'll probably take a break at some point during raid or whatever. It's like 2 a.m. probably now. That's when the shift happens, when I have to go down, supposedly. But let's get going. So I did not put an IP on top because I just ended the turn. And we see what we get. The tree frogs are loud tonight. Settlement, growth, and migration. That's what we just did. Do it again. We bumped this chit, flipping it over. I don't know. it couldn't be any higher than a 3 with what's showing. But yeah, these stupid pollards. It's just so easy to fuck them up. And I see why they're used here, but man, they definitely. I mean, they make the mechanical aspects easier, but they also are easily subject to being disrupted and bumped. I've managed to get its bonus, stealing a transhuman. It might not have been the best idea because transhumans are sending warships in, but you know, they probably view us as the undesirable anyway, so we might as well make them pay or something. I don't know. I did notice the counters. I've got them, you know, sorted and stacked in certain ways. That's kind of difficult. I may want to move them out to the players because there are a lot of different numbers out there. So there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then they go to bigger counters. If I take the little ones and bring them out, it'll be easier, but and require less pawing through there. But I felt like I had some sort of good solution, but it's starting to fall apart at this point. It is pawing in to try to remove the counters and get the numbers that I might need and whatnot. Yeah, it causes some disruption there, but it would be a real mess to do it for everybody all at once. Anyway, I've got all my settlements done. Maybe I did this one. I gave the bonus to that, I do believe. Just making sure there aren't any others because it's so easy to just zone out and forget. So I didn't think about this when I hit it, but then I was like, wait a minute, that's there. But then I stopped. I didn't think about any of the others either, none of which are affecting this. Yeah, that's going to put me to the main part of the turn, starting to move stuff and everything. This is a real disadvantage for the Starfarers because they don't have a base yet. They're lagging behind and they've missed 2 growth opportunities. Given that you're probably settling fairly habitable regions, that's like 4 population, $20 billion, you know, of value that's not being put on the board for you. Wow. Now, is everybody getting that? Nah, I don't know. And then also, I got no idea who he's got to go for now. I got to recount everywhere. Because although these guys have 7, 8, 9 now, other people may have been growing more, so I've got like 6 here, and let's see, 4, 5. Mine don't count. I think that 9 is probably the biggest. But it might not be after building base, after loading up cargo and whatnot, right? Who knows? About that I don't think about because I'm playing solo, right? Which is, look, I'm aware of all kinds of stuff, at least to some limited level, that I shouldn't know as a given when I'm wearing a certain hat, right? And I've got my little mechanisms for randomizing decisions under those kind of circumstances or whatever. All very, you know, ad hoc. Not like Stuka Joe has like a CDG system that helps you play CDG solo as if against a bot or something like that. I always feel like those are kind of weird. Actually, I think he makes them specific per game. But anyway, it does give you kind of an idea of how you would design something of that nature. I'm able to handle those things like a lot, you know, but in this particular case of the settlements, if you wanted to figure out how many settlements somebody has, you could ask them, And if you're asking everybody every turn, or multiple times a turn, how many settlements you got, they got a pretty good clue of what's going on. If you don't ask them and you paw through stuff constantly, boy, first of all, you're going to be annoying the shit out of everybody. You will be just asking them how many settlements they have and insisting that they go count or whatever too. But at least they kind of know what you're after, which might make up for it a little bit. But, again, they're going to probably be able to figure out what you're up to as you keep looking. And, it's an obnoxious thing. If there were a track for the number of settlements people had, that would be useful, but it only really applies to this one directive. This would be a much, much bigger deal in an opposed playing than it is under my play. Someone would be constantly telegraphing what they're interested in. Just another one of those little things that I thought I had handled. Hey, I fixed this anomaly with this ship. This ship's not there yet. This one prevents bases as well. What is it? Savage storms. I got to figure out how to cope with those. And I need both ships there at the same time. So I'm being delayed without being able to do anything. I can do something. I cannot do something. If I had a research or a mining ship, I could at least collect some resources while I'm waiting, but this is another turn before it gets there. 61 virgins. Isn't that something like you get if you die as a martyr for Allah or something? I don't remember how many you're supposed to get. Oh, shit. Missed my migration chance minus 30. I don't know what I rolled. I know I succeeded. I'm just going to re-roll. Let's give it minus 20. I think that kind of splits it in half, right? So if it was 60, if I had a 60% chance, and I'm supposed to have a 30% chance. Well, wait a minute. Let's give him a 40% chance. That way he doesn't really get an advantage, but it gives him some bonus because he rolled that initial 60. Okay, he'll keep it. Yeah, does he have anything interesting? His are all yummy, aren't they? No, there's an Earth production one. Multiple Earth production that deal with each other. I don't know if the victory points are worth more than something that continually produces, because those victory points are going to go away if I don't keep the hostilities going. Right? So far, nobody's done anything except the Syndicate has repaired one ship. I get to the Givers. There were others who had money, weren't there? I guess not. The Givers have a pile of money, and they may be the only people with a pile of money. Syndicate had enough they could do something, but the Givers have a pile of money. But their ships have gotten really expensive at 12 bucks base. Now I have 15, but that's it. I can't buy the ship and the settlement. This one is also 12, but carries a lot more, is really attractive. I could buy something like this for 11 and buy one settlement for it, but I feel like that's not a particularly economical thing to do. And unless I have a sphere of influence that I feel is safe, which I do not in this game, and I don't know if it's possible, I don't really want to buy these shitty ships to just transport goods unless I have some really demanding reason to try it, which I do not. I think I'm going to hold my money and just repair the damage to my ship. And I screwed up. No, I didn't. He paid $3 for his. This guy only has to pay $1 to repair his ship. That's kind of cool. I didn't notice I have this one to repair too. I think I'll repair both my ships. I gotta make change. The reason, this one doesn't have science or mining on it. This one does have mining, but there's no planets found yet. So it's kind of yeah, he's going to be wasting turns if I don't repair it in both cases. So it seems like a good idea. I don't know what the Shining Path wants. Nothing, and they're happy to get it. I looked around for combat, and I don't see anywhere where it's even possible. Anywhere where other people have bases, there are no ships of those other people there. There are places where multiple people have bases in the same place. Well, now wait a minute. There is an opportunity there. There's ground invasions. Uh-oh. Forgot about that. Forgot completely about that. You attack another player's base with your own base. Both bases are included. The defender can choose to include any CVs in the system they wish. This is valuable if your base is significantly bigger than someone else's. But you'd be rolling on the combat table and doing damage, and they'd get to roll too. You're probably going to take hits. It looks like a really, really bad idea to conduct ground wars. But if you're facing a situation like the transhumans coming in, and you're worried they might, not a raid, but they might do a planetary assault with all the big combat value they have, well, that's nastier. Now, who chooses where the damage goes? Starting with the owning player, each side alternates assigning hits 1 point at a time. So, like, your bases might take some of the damage, too. We haven't really had a situation where we had, multi-unit combats. So you can make an argument that some of these other players would like to do combat. This guy's actually got ground missiles, which in his hand, which was thinking about playing. Oh no, minefields, +3 combat value when defending in a system when you have base. Somebody has missiles, which, are starting to look more attractive. Oh man, it's getting ugly. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any combat here. Everybody's too close. If you could wipe out someone's base, then they're not going to keep growing, and you might convince them to go in a different direction because of that. But right now, I think the fights would be too close. Whoever attacks somebody else would just be hurting themselves. Of course, you throw this big 5 in there, and that changes the equation significantly. It might be worth hurting my own base to wipe someone out of an area. There's an additional complexity. There are ships out here that are big enough, that have carrying capacity, and colonies that are big enough that, picking up some colonists and moving them a little further away might not be a terrible choice. This is a habitable area, and I'd get more growth. Lots of small colonies grow relatively quickly. Bigger colonies grow, actually at a much slower rate than small colonies do, no matter what. But I do have the facet of, look, I only have 3 bases available, and I've already committed to 2 of them. Unless there's some strong reason for Epsilon Eridani, I don't see doing it. Other than here, the only colonists that are out there, or the only ships with cargo that are out there, are in flight. So, no transfer, and now we decide to declare our movements. It's kind of painful that the givers were short, just by $1 basically, being able to send a settlement ship out on this thing, because they're in a good place in initiative. At least there's that. If money comes up before initiative, I'm in a pretty good place, although I might have to deal with the True Path, but the True Path doesn't have ships that really challenge this. And that's kind of the thing. I got the biggest ships in the game, right? There's things that can fight as well as it, because the Praetorians have really good combat values, but there's nothing that really exceeds it. I'm at the next generation of ships from everyone else. But that may change, very likely. And, you know, if the money chit comes up, or if the initiative chit comes up before the money chit, I may not have initiative. Of course, I can spend on ensuring, you know, I'm getting an advantage on initiative. I haven't been doing that so far. It didn't make any sense back when there was no conflict in play. It's beginning to look a little bit more interesting now. So yeah, we'll see. Where am I? Where am I? I'm trying to decide movement. Great. A whole lot of ships out there that were able to move that didn't want to. I'm shifting a military ship over here to fight this, shifting one over here to explore down here. Does that even make sense? It really doesn't. Neither one makes sense. I might as well keep exploring. Yeah, I'm being goofy because my ships provide me with defense. Well, not this one, but they also provide me with capabilities to survey, and I might as well. I don't know if anybody else, they had to leave this one because there's no exploration, no base there. So that's pretty nasty, and I'm particularly interested in Vega, so it's like, yeah, let's just focus over there. Meanwhile, here comes my cripple. I got a buck to fix it. Ouch. And Shining Path has already gone. I guess that means it's time for exploration. I'm definitely going to do exploration. I don't know if I'm going to do purchases before I snooze. Ooh, not I don't know, not snooze, but go. I'm very tired. Like, this would be a good time to go to sleep, but now I have to play Raid because I saved most of my energy and everything for this clan event. And it's like, oh, fuck, you know? When I wake up is actually not a good time to wake up in order to deal with this. I should be, the ideal is that, I don't know what the ideal is. The ideal is that I take a nap every night, but like I woke up at the time I should be napping or something. I'm low on batteries everywhere, so I think I'm gonna hold off on exploration. I don't know. Exploration is easy. Let me just get it out of the way. Something kind of exciting happened. First of all, he took hits on both of his ships. Found stuff, but like nothing that really did much. He did reduce this by one. But here we got another successful completed last survey, which puts him in a more questionable position, but he's still in the lead. But his ships are all like gathering at a place that he can't find shit. And not too much found in the exploration. Nothing worth writing home about, basically, other than what I already indicated with this. Oh, got to pull a trade marker there. Not a lot of choice. Around 5 a.m. Not good, but what happens? And starting the purchasing process, the consortium overspent by a point because the alternative would be to blow enough money to repair a ship if I need to. In order to buy this longer range missions or whatever, long distance missions, which only cost them 7, but unless they got their thing. Oh, wait. It should only cost 5. Give me one of these 4s back. I'll spend $1. I forgot physics. Oh no, it's engineering that costs less. Okay, fair enough. And no engineering was available to them for 5, is there? This one would have been. Oh well, we'll go with what we got. But yeah, this is a situation now where they've shoved forward here, and nobody else is going to get, so other people could pay 7 for it, but they know if they wait a turn, they only have to spend 5. So it's like, it becomes a disincentive for anybody else to pick it up unless they really, really want it. Confused. The consortium does not have a bonus for that. It's up there with the transhumanists that have the engineering costs reduction. In and of itself is kind of a weird thing, because this only costs 5, but it only costs 5 even though, like, I don't get anything additional off for the engineering bonus there. Well, assuming this was the physics one. Let me see. The transhumanists, they could get this for just 5, but they could get this. Let's see, 6 off is 14. They could get that for as little as 11. But I don't have a lot of engineering points. Kind of considering they're in this nasty place. Granted, I have my fleets there, so maybe this isn't the turn to think about it. But I have a minefields card. It's one of these. Cost physics, 5 physics. But it would cost me 10. But it's a card that I really like the idea of. But then I look, I'm like, yeah, I bought a lot of bio cards at higher and higher prices. And if you look around, other than the all players spaces, the only place where I'm kind of on the board at all is here at the CV range. I've basically been neglecting the tech chart in favor of cards, which might be good, might be bad. Oh wow, I've got a cheaper biotech too. Ooh. But it's not going to be cheap enough because I only have 1 bio. In order to take advantage of that cheaper engineering tech, I have to get myself forward. You know, same thing with the bio. I have to get myself forward on those. Otherwise, I'm just going to be paying 5 for everything as everybody catches up. This is actually the last one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so everybody's going to be there. Here's where interesting things happen. Quantum communications. This is the thing that has some scientific basis that might allow you to transmit information faster than light. Still not going to allow the ships to move faster than light when, you know, under any reasonable interpretation. But the idea of passing information using quantum entanglement is plausible, vaguely. And that would be, if that could be managed, that would solve a lot of issues here. And that gives, what does it give? Well, it gives a reduced malfunction rate. Okay, kind of makes sense. You can fix errors in real time. I'm actually surprised that the REs are less likely to malfunction than a crewed ship, but whatever. And then they get an exploration bonus. Again, you can react in real time. But anything prior to that, it really feels like the game allows way too much capability. I'm just tossing shit out here. Somebody who has lots of engineering capability there. Ended up going for CV4 vehicles. Spent my last buck on it. Great. I didn't mind throwing my cards, but my thought is, if Earth production comes up and I get all kind of piles of cash, planetary production doesn't help me, but if Earth production comes up and I get piles of cash, I can build a bigger, better ship. And that's a big deal. Although my ships suck in combat, really bad. And that may be why I'm being picked on. On the other side, or on the next player, the ones who've been picking on him so much, the Praetorians here, they don't want to throw their card, but they don't have much they could spend on. This would be 7. That would take 2 influence chits, because I have no cash. I'm ahead there, I'm ahead there. This would take 7. Again, same situation. And in bio, This one's only 5. This would only take 1 shit to get to. Otherwise, again, I'm ahead everywhere. I really don't want to throw my card, but the thing I want to keep, the thing I want to play is the Gifted Artists. That's going to cost me a ton of bio. I'm not going to be gaining bio anytime soon. I'd rather not waste my influence at this point. Syndicate went for the other of the 3 big cards. Well, I actually think somebody has the Improved Physics. Maybe not. Okay. I thought somebody else had it. The Skilled Physicist. Physics text costs... not texts, costs 3 less, paying a big sum, 14 I think for it, but it seems like it's worth it. Again, early in the game when you can take advantage of these, but again, I'm running into this. This is only 5 to take, right? No matter what, this is going to only be 5 to take. And those are the biggest ones coming forward, but there's a whole bunch back here, and some of them get pretty high. And if I have that card, I think that's going to still give me value in the long run. Although, well, I'm in the lead here, which is kind of nice. So this next one becomes significantly cheaper, although nowhere near as cheap as it'll be for whoever goes in last. Hard call for the True Path. They have something really nice. Engine upgrades, it costs 20. I have 19, I got $1, I can buy it. That's a level 2 upgrade. What that does is it treats all my ships as fast. Good luck remembering that, right? And fast ships cost 2 billion less each. I could count in the fact that I'm not going to remember. All that kind of money I could put in. I could put into building these, but these are going to get cheaper very shortly. Quantum, I can't go for. I could go for this for 7. Not really. Although I am devoted, I did have a lot of these. I don't anymore. I have 1. Okay, I'm not that devoted to it. Bio, I'm out of. I don't have enough points for. I have tons of these though. I could go for this at 7. That's kind of nice with the CV range. This is me, so yeah, I'm able to base off that. Other option would be I could just improve my speed for just 12 instead of 20, and that would improve the speed of everything. That feels cheaper. Now this gets to 25, but I'd get an IP for picking that up. Of course, the victory points for this card are worth more than the victory value of the IP. Yeah. It's just like, what do I do? You know? I think I go for the cheaper thing. I try to hold on to the card. I have enough engineering to play around in here for another turn, and maybe I'll end up there because I'm still studying a physics area. So nobody broke new ground. Put this here. This goes here. I already gave him his CV3s. CV range. Sweet. All right, that is end of turn. What things do I have to do at the end of turn? I need to move the turn marker. I guess I put a die up here because that'll remind me not to look for the tweezers as to what they're laying on. And I put an IP over there. End this video as we go into 2250. I like the idea of doing 50 years in a video. I think that's about right. I think 3 videos per century is too painful, but 2 feels about right. All right, we'll load it up and I'll be back.